You ever try to help someone and they just push you away? Like you can see them struggling. You can see the weight on their shoulders. You reach out your hand and they look at you like you just insulted them, and you're standing there thinking, what did I do wrong? Here's the truth. It was never about you. What you just ran into is a wall. A wall they've been building since childhood. And today we're going to talk about what's behind it. The psychology behind people who refuse help. Let's set the scene. Because you know this person. Maybe it's your brother who lost his job 3 months ago, but swears he's figuring it out. Maybe it's your best friend going through a brutal divorce, but every time you ask how she's doing, she hits you with that classic, "I'm fine." Maybe it's you. And look, I'm not here to judge, I'm here to explain. Because this behavior, it's not stubbornness, it's not pride. Well, it's not just pride, it's a survival mechanism. And once you understand the psychology behind it, you'll never look at these people the same way again. Reason number 1, the autonomy trap. In America, we worship independence. Think about it. From the time we're kids, we hear it. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Nobody's going to hand it to you. Be a self-made man, a self-made woman. And look, there's nothing wrong with independence, but here's where it gets dark. For some people, independence becomes their entire identity. Their self-worth is literally wired to their ability to handle things alone. So when you offer help, you're not just offering a hand, you're threatening who they are. In their mind, accepting help equals admitting failure, and for someone whose whole identity is built on being strong and capable, that feels like dying. A 2022 study from the American Psychological Association found that individuals with high autonomy-based self-worth were 47% more likely to experience burnout because they literally cannot delegate. They cannot ask, they cannot receive, they just grind until they break. Reason number 2, and this one is huge in American culture, the debt equation. Some people don't see help as a gift. They see it as a transaction. You help me today? Now I owe you. And I don't know when you're going to collect. I don't know how you're going to collect. But that debt is sitting there in the back of my mind like a loan with no terms. And for people who grew up in environments where nothing was free, where every favor came with strings attached, this isn't paranoia. This is experience. Think about the kid who grew up with a parent who'd say, "After everything I've done for you," every time they wanted compliance. That kid learned something powerful. Help is a weapon. And the safest move? Never accept it. So when you offer to pay for dinner, help with rent, watch their kids. They're not doing math on the favor. They're doing math on the cost of being indebted. And to them, the cost is always too high. Reason number 3, vulnerability feels like a death sentence. Here's what nobody talks about enough. Asking for help requires you to do something that millions of Americans are absolutely terrified of. Show your soft spots. You got to admit you can't do it alone. You got to let someone see behind the curtain. You got to trust that they won't use your weakness against you. And if you've ever been betrayed, if you've ever opened up to someone and watched them weaponize your vulnerability, you know exactly why some people choose to suffer in silence rather than risk that again. Brené Brown said it best. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's our greatest measure of courage. But here's the problem. Courage doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. And some people have been hurt so many times that they'd rather carry £1,000 alone than risk handing £10 to someone who might drop them. This is especially true for men in America. The data is staggering. Men are 3 times less likely to seek mental health support than women. Not because they don't need it, but because they've been told, directly and indirectly, that needing help means you're not a real man. Reason number 4, the image. We live in the most curated generation in human history. Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, everyone's winning, everyone's thriving, everyone's got it figured out. And in the middle of all that, you're supposed to raise your hand and say, actually, I'm not okay, I need help. In this economy, in this culture, good luck. For a lot of people, accepting help means shattering the image they've spent years building. The image of competence, of success, of having it all together. And that image isn't just vanity. For many, it's protection. It's the armor that keeps people from looking too closely. Because if they look too closely, they might see the truth. Now let's go deeper. Because all four of those reasons, they usually trace back to one place: childhood. Psychologists call it hyperindependence, and it's increasingly being recognized not as a strength, but as a trauma response. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Hyperindependence is a trauma response. The kid who had to raise themselves? Hyper-independent adult. The kid who was parentified, taking care of siblings, managing the household at age 10? Hyper-independent adult. The kid who asked for help and was mocked, ignored, or punished. You better believe hyper-independent adult. These aren't people who want to do everything alone. These are people who learned through pain that they had to. And that lesson? It doesn't just go away because you grow up. It becomes your operating system. So if you love someone like this, if you live with someone like this, if you are someone like this, what do? 1. Stop asking, "Do you need help?" Because the answer will always be no. Instead, try, "Hey, I'm doing this anyway, want me to grab yours too?" Or, "I could really use your help with something, and while I'm there, let me handle that for you." Make it collaborative. Make it mutual. Remove the power imbalance. 2. Respect the wall but don't walk away from it. Don't force help on people. That triggers every defense mechanism they have. But don't disappear either. Consistency is everything. Show up. Again and again and again. Let them learn, maybe for the first time, that someone can show up without an agenda. 3. Normalize receiving. Talk about times you needed help. Talk about your struggles. When you model vulnerability, you give them permission to be vulnerable too. You crack the door open. 4. If this is you, if you're the one who refuses every hand, ask yourself this one question. Am I actually strong enough to do this alone? Or am I just too scared to find out what happens if I let someone in? Because real strength, real deep, uncommon strength, it's not carrying everything alone. It's having the courage to set something down. Look, this video isn't about fixing anyone. You can't fix someone who doesn't see themselves as broken, but you can understand them. You can be patient. And sometimes, just sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do for someone who refuses help is just stay. Not push, not fix, not save, just stay. If this video changed how you see someone in your life, or how you see yourself, share it. Because somebody out there needs to hear that it's okay to put the weight down.